In 1990, Michael Crichton wrote a novel about an eccentric billionaire called John Hammond who used genetic engineering to bring dinosaurs back to life. The story immediately caught the attention of all of the major Hollywood film studios, but it was Universal and director Steven Spielberg who secured the rights to adapt it into a movie. Spielberg aimed to recapture the magic, spectacle, and horror of the films that he loved growing up, from King Kong to the movies of Ray Harryhausen, and used revolutionary practical and visual effects to make dinosaurs look real and alive for the first time. Jurassic Park, perhaps ironically as a cautionary tale against greed and consumerism, would go on to create one of the most lucrative and financially successful franchises of all time, spawning several sequels, endless merchandise, and even theme parks. But that 1993 original remains one of the best monster movies of all time. Join me as we continue exploring the evolution of man-made monsters, and we discuss Steven Spielberg's biggest ever blockbuster, Jurassic Park. Welcome back to the evolution of horror. My name is Mike Muncer, and as ever, I am your host. In this podcast, we explore and dissect the history and the evolution of the horror genre, one subgenre at a time. We are currently in the middle of our 11th series exploring the evolution of man-made monsters, and this is part 25. This is one of the films that I have been most looking forward to discussing. As that intro suggested, this week we're going to be discussing Jurassic Park from 1993. This will be an in-depth, spoilerific review. If there is anyone out there who hasn't seen Jurassic Park, I would be amazed. But if you haven't seen it, give it a watch. Even if you have seen it, give it a rewatch before you listen to our discussion, because it's still an absolute banger. So I was joined by a friend of the pod, content creator and co-host and co-founder of RKG, Gav Murphy, to discuss one of his favourite movies of all time in depth. Enjoy. Hello, Gav Murphy. How you doing?
Very excited.
This is
very excited.
So exciting.
Yeah.
Can I just say, I'm in your beautiful studio right now. Thank you for having me here. This is such a delight.
I'm glad you come. How often do you get to record with people like face to face?
Very rarely these days. When I first started the podcast pre-COVID, I did all of them face to face.
Did you?
But I would have to I worked at the BFI at the time, so I would just invite people to like a small soundproof room.
Yeah.
And I had mics and a little Zoom recorder, and we'd record together. But then once COVID happened, it just sort of changed the way I did it. And so now, barely ever. So this is a treat.
It is a treat.
Absolute treat.
Yeah.
And thank you for joining me for this particular movie. I mean, who else would I get for this one?
Thank you very much.
But first of all, before we get into Jurassic Park, let me ask you a bit about this kind of theme, this season that we've been talking about. We've started with Frankenstein, and ever since we've been looking at kind of those sorts of mad science, man playing God and creating monsters type genre. What are your sort of thoughts on this subgenre generally?
Yeah, I think it's this really interesting one, isn't it? Because a lot of the time with this genre, it involves some kind of like science, or involves some kind of it involves like some kind of like big high level money involved science. Which, you know, probably isn't that relatable. Because a lot of it involves like mad geniuses or billionaires or something like that,
and people that you can't relate to at all, really.
Completely.
A lot of time.
But taking out the science bit and the money bit, what is usually it boils down to is ambition and ego, which I feel like every single one of us has had times where we've, you know, come up against our own ego, or sort of, you know, tackled our own ambitions and things like that. So that's what's really, really good. I also just really love the thing about it is there's no worse feeling than knowing that you fucked up.
So true.
Because there's so many times where, you know, that's why I think that's why people like reading about people fucking up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like that's why people like it, because there's no better if you if you have messed up, it's the worst feeling in the world. And I think if something terrible is happening to other people because of your actions, because of something that you've done, that is also one of the worst feelings in the world. And I think that once you stick that into a horror setting, it makes it even worse, because I think, like, obviously, a monster turning up out of nowhere is absolutely terrifying. And the idea of, being stalked by someone just because they're psychos, that is obviously really, really terrifying. But a monster turning up because it's kind of your fault.
Exactly.
It's way worse. And it has that sort of like heartbreak to it, where it's like, if you didn't fuck about, we wouldn't have had to find out.
Completely. And actually, I think I've definitely found this as I've gotten older and watching these films now. I find actually, and obviously this is kind of the age-old theme of Frankenstein, is who is the real monster? Is it the creature, or is it Dr. Frankenstein? And we'll talk about this, I'm sure, with John Hammond. It's like, you start to realise, is it this monstrous creation that is the real villain here, or is it the creator that plays God that is the monster, And
I also do like the idea of, I also, especially, I mean, we're talking about Jurassic Park, and I think the amazing thing about the Jurassic Park world is that there's now 7 of them. And it's like, because I really love that hubris of, it has gone wrong so many times. Like, we have so much evidence of it not working, but there's always like that 1 or 2 people like, but maybe this time it'd be okay though. And you're like, it's true. Actually, do you know what? And it's annoying, because Jurassic Park is a perfect one for this, because I love Jurassic Park. It's one of my favorite films. I feel differently about a lot of the sequels, but there's something in every single one of the sequels that is a laugh. And
100%.
There's definitely an incredible scene in every single one of the films, no matter what you think about them. But there is still a part of me, every single time that I see, like a headline or something, and they're like, oh, like a billionaire in Thailand has found out a way that he can clone dinosaurs and bring them back. There's a little part of me be like, could be a laugh though.
Exactly.
It could go right this time.
Give it a go. Well, let's talk about one of the best monster movies about a mad scientist that has ever been made, right? Jurassic Park from 1993. So, Gav, I always get our guests to give me a little brief plot synopsis. Tell us, for anyone listening who may not know what Jurassic Park is about, tell us the story.
So I tried to write something. I was like, well, this is Jurassic Park. And I do feel like it's very rare you ever meet someone who's never seen Jurassic Park. But I tried to write something silly for this anyway. So
go for it.
A billionaire finds out a way to bring back dinosaurs, and his best idea is to use them to put them in a big zoo, Jurassic Park. It almost immediately goes wrong, and an unskilled worker gets eaten by Velociraptor. So in order to prove to his now very worried investors that this Jurassic Park is actually fine, he invites a team of experts, a lawyer, and for some reason, his young grandkids to the island off the coast of Costa Rica to do a dry run of the park over a weekend.
Yes.
Almost immediately, it goes wrong again. And the dinosaurs run amok, and 4 more people get killed.
Oh my God, incredible.
Yeah.
It's so true, though, your synopsis. Everything keeps immediately going. There was something exciting, wasn't there, when Jurassic World came out? About the fact that in the beginning of that film, you got to actually see what it looked like as a working park. Because we never even get that far in Jurassic Park, right? It's amazing.
Well, I think that's the film, because I guess Jurassic Park is part horror movie, but part like disaster movie. And disaster movies, something has to go wrong.
Of course.
So even though, I love dinosaurs as a kid and I love Jurassic Park, you want to see it working. Like, you want to see the Mosasaurus paddock. You want to see you want to go fucking drive past and the Tyrannosaurus is going crazy. Like, you want all that to happen, but like, almost immediately everything just keeps going wrong.
Totally.
It's not meant to happen. That's the whole point.
Well, exactly. That's literally the point, isn't it? And I think the one thing we learned from the not very good sequels, and Jurassic World included, is that no, this movie it gets everything right in that it's saying from the beginning, we have characters literally saying, this is a terrible idea. Please don't do this, right?
Yeah.
So let me start from the beginning. What's your history with this movie? Did you, I don't know how old you are, Gav. Did you watch it back in the day?
I did. I saw it in the cinema.
Yeah.
I was 8 years old, I think, when it came out.
Yep.
I saw it at the Monaco Cinema in Rubina in Cardiff, which was like my family's, like, we had a bunch of cinemas around us. I grew up in the valleys, but we'd always go to Cardiff for the big films.
Oh, yeah.
And like my family were really into film, so that was good for me. But my mum really, really wanted to see it. So she took me to see it, the Monaco Cinema in Rubina, which sadly doesn't exist anymore. And it was a beautiful cinema as well. It was unbelievable. And it was always a big film in my family. I almost instantly fell in love with it. And I think then it's one of the only times I can remember, because I mean, I grew up incredibly poor as well. So like a trip to the cinema for me, my sister, my mum and my dad, I mean, that would have been a big thing.
Yeah, and going to Cardiff for it as well.
Yeah, exactly. And it was like it was one of the only times I remember like going down and asking my parents, can we go see that again? Because it would never have been on the cards, and it's one of the only times that they were. I think maybe I had asked them before, but I was like, "Can we please go see that again next week?" And they almost immediately were like, "Yes, we definitely can."
Oh,
and we went back to see it again the week after, because I think like when it came out, I think even people who weren't critics or academics or anything like that, we're like, this is something different. Yeah. This is something special. This is a fucking tentpole movie in our lives. And I think at that time, every time Spielberg did something, because he's still not done he'd done quite a lot by that point, but every time he did something, people stopped and stared, which I'm not necessarily, I don't think that's maybe the same now.
No.
Like, I don't know if you rushed to see West Side Story, but I did not.
No.
Like, I didn't see The Fabelmans. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, I'm very excited for whatever this UFO thing is coming this summer. Yeah. Like, I'm very excited for that. But yeah, I think I immediately pretty much got obsessed with it. And I hadn't seen Jaws at that point.
Yeah.
So I was 8 years old, saw Jurassic Park, got instantly obsessed with dinosaurs, instantly obsessed with the movie. And then I think my family were like, okay, let's show him Jaws. Showed me Jaws. And at the time, maybe I didn't think it was as good, but I thought Jaws was way scarier. So as an 8-year-old, I didn't want to watch it because it was just way too scary. Whereas Jurassic Park, even though it is very, very scary, there was something, because it was dinosaurs, I think I was kind of more into, and it was maybe felt like sillier because of the sci-fi-ness of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I basically, over the next coming years then, made Jurassic Park a huge part of my personality to a really fucking exhausting degree. And like genuinely it was one of the reasons why I got a job. I ended up working at IGN, but I ended up talking to Daniel Krupa, who's like one of my best friends and now one of my business partners. One of the first times we ever DM'd was about Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
And then through that, I ended up getting my job at IGN. And I was really lucky at IGN then that I was basically doing a lot of their junket stuff. So I got to interview Jeff Goldblum 3 times. Daniel and I came up with an idea, which was I think there's 20 speaking parts, 19 or 20 speaking parts in Jurassic Park. So we got a line from every single one of those characters, and we made Jeff Goldblum do a one-man play of Jurassic Park where he did a line from every single person, and we cut it all together. That's still available now. You can still watch it.
Incredible.
So I did that, and then I once there was a time where I was at home and I was very bored, and Jurassic Park was on ITV4 for like the 9th time in 2 days.
Yeah.
And I did a tweet which just said a film called Jurassic Park just started on ITV. Seems a bit far-fetched, but I'm going to stick with it. And that got retweeted loads. So I basically then, over that period of Christmas, it was like every time Jurassic Park's on telly, I'm going to tweet the same thing, see what happens. Did that, and then realized how much Jurassic Park is on telly.
Yeah.
So at one point, when Twitter was still good, and it would let you do silly things, I had a script going that would basically comb the Radio Times. I coded this myself. Wow. It would comb the Radio Times website for every time Jurassic Park was playing, and then it would tweet automatically a minute after Jurassic Park had started on ITV or Sky or whatever it was on. So for years, every single time Jurassic Park was on, a tweet from my account would come up.
Yeah.
And like Twitter has changed its back end now, so it doesn't work anymore. And I don't like to go on X, whatever the fuck it is. So, but I do sort of bang a few out at Christmas just to like remind people. But that thing went mental to the point where like, I think someone who worked at Netflix followed me on Twitter. So the first time that Jurassic Park was available on Netflix in the UK, I think I quote retweeted them going like, oh, a film called Jurassic Park just come on Netflix. Seems a bit far-fetched, but I'm going to stick with it. And then they did a thing where in the back end of Netflix, if you put in the word far-fetched, Jurassic Park would come up.
Incredible.
Which is, I mean, like, if that was still on there, that would be like my legacy, which would be
That's incredible. I mean, I think I knew of that tweet before I ever knew you, Gav. Yeah. So yeah, that is, what a legacy. I love that. It's incredible.
Very stupid.
But this film, even posting last night as we're recording this that I was watching it, the amount of replies from people that say this is my favorite film of all time. And they were like, just watching a clip of it that you've posted has made me cry. Yeah. Right. This film means so much to so many of us of a certain generation. And I'm exactly the same as you. I'm 38, so I'm 2 years younger. I saw it when I was 6 at the cinema as well. And it really is pretty much the earliest memory I have of being in a cinema and watching a film from beginning to end. Yeah. And it fucking terrified me.
Oh, it's so scary.
And I cried during the Dilophosaurus sequence. For some reason, and it still is actually, that's the scene that scares me the most in the whole film. Everything else I could kind of cope with, but there was something about that one that really freaked me out. And my parents were like, do you want to go? And I was like, no! Yeah. And it just kept going, basically. But same as you, I made it my whole personality, bought it on VHS, watched it repeatedly my whole life. And, you know, I talk a lot, and people ask me this a lot, obviously, about like, when did you first fall in love with horror? And what's your first horror experience? And I often talk about a few years on when I would watch Scream for the first time. Yeah. But actually thinking about it, in some ways, Jurassic Park was my first introduction to horror. Definitely. It was the first time when I was so unbelievably scared by a movie and yet also incredibly exhilarated and couldn't stop watching it.
Oh, no, absolutely. Like, a couple of my friends, because I don't have any kids, but I mean, like, loads of my friends who are my age who've had kids. Yeah. Have either invited me to be there or have told me when they've watched Jurassic Park for the first time with their kids. Yeah. And it's so interesting because, you know, you think about it, you're like, oh, this is like feels like it's a TV film. I mean, it's on in the middle of the day.
Yeah, exactly.
When people put it on. So people are like, this is fine for kids to watch, but actually it's an incredibly scary film. Yeah. And so many of my friends have gone, it was too early. This was far too early to be showing my kids this.
Honestly, even rewatching it last night for like the 100th time, I find myself like gripping my seat in just how well it's directed. When you're watching two kids get slowly crushed by a car in real time, screaming for dear life.
Absolutely.
It's like, that is not the sort of horror that you see in a family film these days, right? It's unbelievable.
Like the Velociraptor scene in the kitchen, that's shot like a slasher movie.
It is. It's like The Shining meets Halloween or something, right? Yeah. And the scene when, Samuel L. Jackson's severed arm falls on. Like, again, I just think, Jesus, like, for essentially what is a family-friendly film, quote unquote, it's like, that's pretty extreme.
That's the moment from the cinema that I do remember. I don't remember a lot about going to see Jurassic Park, but I do remember that bit because my mum laughs hysterically when she's terrified. Yeah. So when you see Arnold's arm go across her, she burst out laughing, and then I burst out crying because I was just like, it was just too much going on at the same time.
Yeah, so, incredible. Yeah. Well, I want to go through some of these sort of beat by beat, but first of all, let me just ask you. Obviously, this is based on a Michael Crichton novel, and we shouldn't we shouldn't forget that. Actually, a novel from 1990. How are you familiar with the novel? Have you ever read it?
So I read it that's the thing. I read it because I was obsessed. Mm-hmm. So I read it when I was like 8 or 9. I think maybe I'd asked for it for Christmas, so maybe I was 8 or 9. But, far too young to be reading a Michael Crichton novel. Yeah. And I think a lot of it is stuff I wouldn't understand. It's very different as well. Yeah. So I think as a kid, what I essentially wanted were those novelizations. What I got was something completely different. It's one of those ones as well where a lot of the research he does, I think he basically, like in American Psycho, where those essays about like Phil Collins. Yeah. I think there's that in Jurassic Park, but about cloning and DNA.
Yeah, definitely.
And to the point where I think it's quite boring.
It's much
especially
more,
for a 9-year-old.
It's much more about the morality, isn't
Yeah.
it? Of cloning, of playing God. I'm pretty sure, and it's been a long time since I've read it too.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure the Richard Hammond character is more villainous too. Is more overtly unlikable, I suppose. Than in Spielberg's film.
Yeah.
And I think it doubles down more on that, on the, I guess, the ethics of the DNA, the science, the cloning, and all of that, as opposed to just being a monster adventure.
I think that's one amazing thing. I think, John Hammond is meant to be like, I think he's basically the villain in it.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting. But I think the thing that I really like about it is there are obviously whole sections that get revisited in other movies.
Yes.
Even to the point of like up till Jurassic World Rebirth. I think I'm right in saying that the original book, the bit where the T-Rex attacks them, the T-Rex attacks them in water.
Right, and which is what happens in
Rebirth. There's a whole swimming sequence. The T-Rex swims towards them.
Yeah.
And that's been put in now. It's like, I know John Hammond dies, he basically breaks his leg and then compies eat him.
Yeah.
Like, and then at the beginning of The Lost World, it starts off with compies eat a little girl, and in Jurassic Park 3, I think. Oh no, in Jurassic Park 2, more compies come as well.
Yeah.
So there's a lot. The thing I really like about the book is, while I'm not that familiar with them, they do sort of revisit them a little bit.
That's interesting. It kind of provides the DNA for the whole franchise. In a way. That's amazing.
I made a fool of myself. I fell all over myself to make this movie in front of Michael. Doing everything but getting down on my knees and begging him, because I love the idea of, DNA and dinosaurs in many combinations.
So Michael Crichton had this story. It kind of got into a bidding war, essentially, with various different studios, and each studio had their own director in mind, right, for who they wanted to direct it. So Warner Brothers had Tim Burton, Columbia Pictures had Richard Donner, 20th Century Fox had Joe Dante. James Cameron also was interested in potentially making something out of this as well. But Steven Spielberg with Universal was the one, and Michael Crichton said he believed, Steven Spielberg was going to be the person that could pull this off over anyone else, because it was going to be a very ambitious film. And Spielberg had always been kind of obsessed with dinosaurs, he said, since he was a kid. And he wanted to make a movie that would really kind of balance that kind of wonder and awe and majesty of dinosaurs with kind of monster movie horror, and the films that he grew up watching and loving, like Ray Harryhausen movies, that idea of spectacle, but also King Kong, the 1933 movie, these incredible movies that were known for their practical effects, their visual spectacle, but also their kind of monster movie horror.
I look at King Kong and I say, well, that is the state of the art. 1933 was the state of the art. In between 1933 and today, there have not been any real advancements in special effects photography, where you have to create a creature that doesn't really exist anymore. It was very important that if we were going to have dinosaurs in this movie, they would have to look, for me, as real as though I were watching a National Geographic special on television about giraffe, rhinoceros, and elephant.
He kind of knew exactly what he wanted to do with this movie and how he wanted to bring it to the big screen. And Spielberg at this point, he obviously, as we've mentioned, he burst onto the scene with Jaws, this incredible horror blockbuster. And then through the 80s, he had some other massive hits. He had, he went from Close Encounters to E.T. to the Indiana Jones trilogy, of course. But then he'd had a few flops too, in amongst these big hitters. And in 1991, he did Hook, right, which was kind of one of his sort of biggest critical flops. So he wasn't necessarily at the top of his game at this point, but then obviously he was about to have the most successful year I think any filmmaker would ever have, because he released Jurassic Park and Schindler's List in the same year. But so yeah, he attained the rights, and the rest is history, right? You almost couldn't imagine anyone else other than Spielberg making a film like this. And the way that Spielberg tells this story, the way he holds stuff back before then showing us, it's unbelievable. And it does start, like you said in your plot synopsis, it starts with a worker being killed immediately. Yeah. And again, right, this is an opening set piece of a horror film. in the dark.
Yeah.
Somebody gets eaten, and it does that brilliant thing that some of the best horror movies do, which is it doesn't show you the monster yet. It takes such a long time, right, before you see the dinosaur. But just somebody being dragged into a cage.
Yeah.
It's so scary, isn't it?
It's really strange though, because it has like a strange amount of openings.
Yeah, it does.
For a film.
It does.
Because it has the worker opening, it has the digging opening, and then it has when you finally meet then like Ellie when the helicopter bit opening. And you're just like, it has 3 different openings for it. The pacing and the structure of this film is bonkers.
It's wild. Yeah, it's wild.
I think kind of, and that's what I don't think a lot of the films have ever, the ones that come after it, got right.
No.
Or I think this was very much like lightning in a bottle, and the thing that what they did was very different to other films. It was very different to other Spielberg films as well, which I fucking love.
You're right. It's I guess the film that you'd most compare it to in Spielberg's filmography up until this point is obviously Jaws, right? This kind of monster movie, this kind of throwback to kind of monster movies that he grew up watching.
Yeah.
But I think it's really interesting that he doesn't, like, Jaws plays much more, it's kind of almost the flipped structure, because Jaws, the first half is like a horror film. It's like people getting eaten, the little boy getting killed, you know, within the first 15 minutes, and the tiger shark and the various attacks. And then the last half, it becomes this kind of 3 men on a boat swashbuckler thing. And it's great. And it slows down.
Yeah.
This movie's the other way around almost, where it's almost like it's about an hour in, right? Before the dinosaur action starts happening. It really, like you say, it's very confident by Spielberg, isn't it, in terms of the pacing? He's like, no, you will wait for this.
I think that's the thing, is that he knows what's coming, and he knows you're going to really like it, but it's all, I guess, about the anticipation of it. But I think the thing that it just does so well and is it brings in people like Ellie and Alan who love dinosaurs, and I think it gets that across. Like, the thing that I've always thought about the sequels is it never captures the idea, the wonder of actually seeing a dinosaur, which they do in the first. The thing that I always thought about the sequels that really did my head in, particularly Jurassic World, is we're introduced to Jurassic World going, oh, people are bored of dinosaurs. Yeah. I'm like, I fucking wouldn't. Yeah. Oh, people are bored of dinosaurs. No, we're not.
No, we're not.
We're just bored of shit films.
Why do you think we all flock to every Jurassic Park film,
exactly.
right?
Why do they make so much fucking money?
Yeah, exactly. It's so true. And you're absolutely right. And this is obviously such a Spielberg thing. He's kind of famous for it, really, is that, you know, you'll get close-ups of faces of characters looking in awe at something before you see the thing they're looking at, right?
Absolutely.
And I think it is so important, the incredible characters that we're introduced to. So let's talk about Alan Grant and Ellie Sattler, who we meet. You know, again, I think so interesting, so unconventional, not just as characters, but I think even the actors playing them at the time, right? You've got Sam Neill and Laura Dern, these actors that they weren't Chris Pratt. No. They weren't, you know, Harrison Ford. These were interesting, quite weird actors to cast in your multi-million-dollar blockbuster.
Hey, Alan, if you wanted to scare the kid, you could have pulled a gun on him, you know.
Yeah, I know. Kids. You want to have one of those?
I don't want that kid, but a breed of child, Dr. Grant, could be intriguing. I mean, what's so wrong with kids?
Oh, Ellie, look, they're noisy, they're messy, they're expensive.
Cheap.
They smell.
They do not
Some of them smell. Baby smell.
Together, they work so well. Yeah. And I think it's really lovely. And it's definitely something that we just forgot about, which was the hero who is actually like quite smart and quite nice. Yeah. And like, as soon as anti-hero stuff came in, like, as soon as quips came in, and like, I mean, quips have always been a huge thing, like Indiana Jones and stuff like that, but it's just like, Indiana Jones is still fucking really, really smart. Yeah. But, and the same with like Chris Pratt, like, I think the thing that gets wrong with Chris Pratt is like, Chris Pratt is a character, is a very smart man, but anytime he's in the company of a woman, turns into a fucking douchebag. Yeah. And to the point where it's just like, well, I don't like hanging out with this person. And I think, but with Alan Grant, he just fucking loves dinosaurs. Yeah. And he's a normal guy who doesn't like kids. He's very set in his ways.
That doesn't look very scary. More like a 6-foot turkey.
Turkey, huh?
Oh, no.
Okay. Try to imagine yourself in the Cretaceous period. You get your first look at this 6-foot turkey as you enter a clearing. He moves like a bird, lightly bobbing his head. And you keep still because you think that maybe his visual acuity is based on movement, like T-Rex, and he'll lose you if you don't move. But no, not Velociraptor. You stare at him, and he just stares right back. And that's when the attack comes, not from the front, but from the side. From the other two raptors, you didn't even know were there.
He just really loves dinosaurs.
And he's a nerd.
He's a
as well.
nerd.
He's a nerd. The way that he interacts with the little boy is really
great.
funny because that is like a real nerd who loves what he does and he doesn't want to hear somebody poo-poo it, right? And it's amazing. And again, it's such a brilliant introduction, quite bold introduction to his character.
Such a good
because
scene.
he is essentially kind of traumatizing a child by talking about ripping their innards out with all of that stuff. It's amazing.
And he slashes at you with this 6-inch retractable claw, like a razor, on the middle toe. He doesn't bother to bite your jugular like a lion, say. No. He slashes at you here, or here. Or maybe across the belly, spilling your intestines. The point is, you are alive when they start to eat you. So, try to show a little respect.
Okay.
I think the thing I really like about Jurassic Park is like it's so famous now and so much has been written about it that you can, and I've done this a few times, like lockdown, where I would read an essay that is just like, hey, this is my reading of Jurassic Park, and then I would watch Jurassic Park and go, okay, this is my reading of that, and like and it's really nice that you can do that. And I think there's so many little things just peppered throughout it. It's such a dense film, like though like you said, like it doesn't really kick off for like an hour when everything starts going wrong. All those things about it going wrong, about life finding a way, it's all layered and layered and layered in, and it's all about Alan Grant is in his field considered a dinosaur himself because he refuses to move on with technology, and is but then it's also technology is the thing that ends up almost getting him eaten, and it's all these different things going on. You're like, this is so clever, but it's also packaged up as this summer blockbuster,
and it's so watchable,
and it's really interesting. Like I found it amazing when Inception came out because people were like, oh, this is a smart blockbuster, and while I love Inception, I thought it was fucking really good laugh, loved seeing it in the cinema, whatever. Jurassic Park was also doing that, just so you know. Like Jaws was doing that. Like, it's just we kind of got away from, and I think this is always what happens where, and it happens with horror movies so much. Like, it happens with Friday the 13th, happens with Halloween, happens with Nightmare on Elm Street. The thing that people look at those films for and love, like you and I, and people who love those films, are not the things that studios look at them and go, we can make money from. Yeah. Because everything that happens after is not as good. No. And I think in the similar way with like summer blockbusters, people look at it and go, right, Jaws, that made loads of money, had a big shark in it. What should we do? Big monsters. That's the thing that people love. Right, Jurassic Park, got fucking dinosaurs in it. Right, we'll put loads of dinosaurs in that thing. He's like, that is not the thing that people connected with, and that's not the thing that people loved. Yeah. And it happens with horror stuff all the time, and it's so frustrating.
It does, and I think you're right about what you said about the sort of quippy, cynical kind of storytelling. I think we went through a phase, not me, but people went through a phase of looking at films like Jurassic Park and Steven Spielberg generally as being a bit too cheesy, a bit too sentimental. He's known as a filmmaker for sentimentality, which I think is mad when you think about how often he like kills children on screen and stuff. Like, he's not just this. Yes, he can do a bit of sentimentality, but he's not just this kind of like schmaltzy, cheesy filmmaker. No. And I think sometimes Jurassic Park also gets written off. You know, people think about the wonder and awe of the Brachiosaurus or whatever, and they forget about just how dark and horrific it is.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think like that's the really fun thing with, him being, Alan Grant being forced to look after the two kids, and you're like, yes, I know it does seem kind of obvious because he hates kids, and then now suddenly he loves kids and he's good. And it's like, but when it's done well, it's fine.
Yeah. And then, of course, we meet Richard Attenborough's John Hammond.
Yeah.
And again, this is weird, right? I feel like I didn't notice until watching it as an adult that he was supposed to be Scottish. And I feel like his Scottish accent sort of falls away, right, as the film goes on.
Yeah. I think it's a really interesting accent. I think for me, he's probably a Scottish person that has just spent a lot of time with Americans.
Right.
Because he's rich.
I own an island off the coast of Costa Rica. I've leased it from the government, and I've spent the last 5 years setting up a kind of biological preserve. Really spectacular, spared no expense. Make the one I've got down in Kenya look like a petting zoo. And there's no doubt our attractions will drive kids out of their minds.
What are those?
Small versions of adults, honey.
So John Hammond, obviously, there's this moment when he invites them to the park. He says he's going to fund their, their dig, their research. It's a beautiful little scene. It's a great scene. I love it. We should talk about John Hammond because, again, this is what's brilliant about this movie is again, how much it changes. Yeah. How much it changed for me from when I was a kid to watching it as an adult. And John Hammond, I realise more and more, is a bit of a mad sociopath, actually, isn't he?
Well, it's a really interesting one because it's really interesting because you do get to spend quite a lot of time with him.
You do.
So when he's sitting down with Ellie and he's talking about his little flea circus, and you get the idea is like, this is a man who started off with the best intentions, and those intentions were to entertain people and to bring wonder and awe to the masses, exactly like the Prestige. And it's like, do you know what I mean? It's like he started off with the best intentions. From there, somehow, he's ended up a billionaire running a genetics company in Gen. Yeah. So he's obviously deviated from the thing that he's loved for whatever reason, but has come back around to, oh, hey, this research that we've been funding, which has actually found a way to bring dinosaurs back to life. Do you know what we could do with that? We could turn into a fucking zoo because that prints money. That's the thing. It's like, I've been to Universal Studios multiple times. I've been to Disneyland. Like, I've been very, very lucky to go to, both of those in Florida and other places as well. Those places print money.
Of course.
Like, it's unbelievable. So it's going to make a lot of money for them. And obviously bringing dinosaurs back,
it's a pretty big deal.
Even though in, the law of Jurassic, apparently we get fucking bored with it within about 10 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. He's got the best intentions, but this weekend that he's cooked up, I mean, it's bonkers. It's like a weird weekend.
Well, it's really interesting. And again, like, I think it's the sort of thing that maybe glossed over my head when I was a kid. But he is this kind of Frankensteinian scientist. He is the mad scientist, quote unquote, of the film.
Yeah.
And literally nobody is on his side from the beginning, right? So the famous scene where they sit around the table and they discuss the philosophy and the ethics of what they've done.
Yeah.
And as in his own words, the only person that agrees with him is the blood-sucking lawyer, right? Yeah. So the only person that is with him is the money man.
Yeah, exactly.
But everyone else, and it's so clever, the writing, but Ellie and Alan and Ian all have different reasons why this is a bad idea.
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing is I think Ian Malcolm is like a chaosician or something.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I have no idea why he's there. Like, I think he's basically high profile.
I don't think John Hammond knows why he's there either, does he?
It sounds like he's quite high profile. And essentially, they've invited like a scientist influencer.
Yeah, like, that's what he's like. He's like a rock star.
Yeah,
right.
If this was made now, it'd be Mr. Beast.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll tell you the problem with the scientific power that you're using here. It didn't require any discipline to attain it. You read what others had done, and you took the next step. You didn't earn the knowledge for yourselves, so you don't take any responsibility for it. You stood on the shoulders of geniuses to accomplish something as fast as you could, and before you even knew what you had, you patented it and packaged it and slapped it on a plastic lunchbox, and now you're selling it. You want to sell it. Well,
I don't think you're giving us our due credit. Our scientists have done things which nobody's ever done before.
Yeah, but your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should.
Jeff Goldblum, let's talk about him, because again, I think this is so interesting. I've joked about this before on the podcast, but the fact that they're 3 stars were the guy from The Fly, the guy from Possession, and the girl from Blue Velvet is wild, right?
Absolutely
wild. And Jeff Goldblum is doing completely his own thing in this, right? Like from the get-go.
Well, I think like I have a theory about this. It's like, this is the last time, and maybe Lost World, we get to see Jeff Goldblum as the human being Jeff Goldblum before he becomes Jeff Goldblum, the fairy tale imp that we know now. It's like, this is the last time that we see him actually acting in the like, because even when he comes back for Fallen Kingdom, when he goes back for Dominion, like that is now Jeff Goldblum the meme.
Yes, he's
like
the meme.
He is no longer of this earth. He did a Wes Anderson movie and thought, yeah, I like that. I'm going to make that my entire personality, actually.
Yeah, completely.
So this is like one of the last times that we actually see him do it. And I think like also just chucking 3 incredibly odd, slightly autistic adults together as your heroes is brilliant. And I think it is a really funny thing with John Hammond where he's brought these people together that are going to convince the lawyer. The lawyer is instantly convinced and being like, we're going to make a fortune out of this place.
Right. And the 3 experts.
And the 3 experts
don't
like,
do this.
This is fucking mental. What are you doing? And I think like that's the thing. Like, it's the whole theory of it is like, John Hammond is a billionaire. He hasn't put any of the work in.
No.
He's just gone, do you know what would be really cool? If you could just do this with dinosaurs for me, please. Like, and make sure that they don't eat anyone. Okay, well, they're eating people. Okay, we'll still do that. But annoyingly and sadly, his intentions are to bring wonder and awe and beauty to the world. But then you already see it's out of control. And, where he's like, I want to, I would love to bring this to the world. And this is my vision. The lawyer is like, we can charge a fortune. Like the tickets are going to be so expensive. People will pay whatever. And you're like, well, it's already out of hand.
Yeah.
Like it's out of hand in this building, in this room while we're having food. And then, so everything is good. It's already out of hand. All your ideas are fucked.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. He is doing this incredible balancing act, Jeff Goldblum, of being like quirky. And when you first meet him, you think, I think in a more modern movie, you'd think this guy's going to be a bit of a toxic douchebag, maybe. He's a bit kind of almost he borderlines on being a bit leery with Laura Dern.
Definitely.
But he's not quite, but there is a bit of that. And then there's those incredible moments when he has those monologues that have become some of the most iconic lines in the film and in cinema. This idea of like, your scientists spent so long wondering if they didn't stop to think if they should. And it's like, in some ways, that line is the line that sums up this entire series that I'm doing, right? And this entire franchise and the entire movie. And again, like interesting, layered, nuanced, 3-dimensional human beings.
Absolutely.
Here, right.
And I think the good thing about having these characters as well is like you've got these really capable actors.
Yeah.
Like in the bit where they meet the Triceratops, Ellie goes off. So in the one car, you have Tim and Lex, the kids, with Gennaro, the lawyer.
Yeah.
Which is a bonkers. Why have you put those together anyway? That man is not able to look after those kids.
No.
And then in the other car, you have Ian Malcolm and Alan Grant, who it essentially becomes like a little buddy comedy.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't be so different. And the bit where it's just like, why? I'm not scared. I didn't say I was scared. Yeah. And he's just like, that's just brilliant writing. And the way they're going back and forth is just fantastic constantly.
Yeah, completely. So just to rewind back, we were introduced to our main characters. We're on the helicopter.
Yeah.
We land. There's always that moment that I absolutely love, which is as we approach the island, the music kicks in.
Oh my God.
I just want to take a moment to ask you about John Williams' score for this, right? For my money, probably my favourite movie score of all time, right?
It's just the best, isn't it?
It's
I think it's the most heartfelt, the most powerful of all of Williams and Spielberg's collaborations, I think.
Agreed.
And I just think it's got everything in it. It's got the start, just the tiny piano bit, which you instantly recognise, and just hearing that makes me want to cry. A friend of mine bought me they went on holiday somewhere, and they bought me this little music box thing. It goes ding, 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 ding,
yeah,
ding, and like it makes me want to cry every single time.
Yeah, why does it?
But then it builds into this huge swirling thing.
Yeah,
but it's actually and it's kind of it gives you, if you think about it, basically Hammond's journey, which is like starting off with this flea circus that he had, like bing, 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 building into this big swell of a thing. But it's just like the actual thing that he's trying to do is the exact same. The feeling that he's trying to get across is the same thing. I've been so lucky that I went to Hawaii and visited a lot of the places that Jurassic Park was filmed, including doing that helicopter fly-in.
Oh my God.
So there's 5 islands. But yeah, so Oahu is where they ended up filming a lot of this. So that's where you can go to a place called Kualua Ranch, which has a lot of the big places that you recognize, and a lot of the stuff at Jurassic World was done on the same place as well. So they're flocking this way. That was all there. But Kauai is where they were meant to film it. But that place, because it's a lot greener, but it has rain. And it has storms. And when I was there would rain and there was storms. But I was very lucky and got to do the helicopter. I got in a helicopter, did the fly-in that they actually do. And
with the waterfall?
With the waterfall and the landing.
Oh my God. Did you cry?
Yeah, like, because you've got headphones on. I don't know if you've ever been in a helicopter. Yeah, so you have to put headphones on all the time. So the guy comes over and goes, anybody here fans of Jurassic Park? And like, I put my hand up, I was in the front. We had headphones on and he played the Jurassic Park theme that from the movie as we were flying in, as we landed. And it's the exact same landing spot. The landing spot hasn't changed.
Oh my God.
And it was just, honestly, I was an absolute mess. Like, it's just, I think actually as we're filming this is a couple of days after the Grammys, where Spielberg has become like the 22nd person ever to reach EGOT status. So he's won an Emmy, multiple Emmys, now a Grammy, Oscars multiple, and he's won a Tony Award as well. So it's only 22 people that have ever done that. And he did it by producing a documentary about John Williams.
Yeah, of course.
Because he's worked with him so many times. Of course. I think, that the music just it's weird because the music in Jaws, a lot of people were like, oh, without the score, the movie is nothing because you barely have anything on screen. But I think with the music with this, by this point, their collaborations have got to this point where John Williams is getting across the exact feelings that Spielberg is trying to get across with his directing. And it has this amazing sort of, they just mesh together perfectly in a way that they do a lot in his films. But I think with this, it just is one of those moments where you just go, oh no, this is actually perfect.
Well, it's the other really kind of amazing, beautiful thing about the way in which Jaws and Jurassic Park almost kind of mirror each other because, you know, famously, and we talked about it before on the podcast, but Jaws, you know, like you say, the music kind of filled in for what we couldn't see. Absolutely, so the music accompanies all of the scenes of horror.
Yeah.
In this movie, the music is more giving us a feeling of awe and excitement and wonder.
Absolutely.
And then when the horror happens, one of the things that I find so impressive about this film, the entire T-Rex sequence, no score, right? Like, the horror is done with no music a lot of the time. And there's something really... And so it's the polar opposite to Jaws in a way. It doesn't need the music.
You're right. It's really
interesting.
It definitely makes it scarier, but I guess it's like what John Williams is trying to do with a lot of his stuff is like punctuate the emotion. Where it'd be like, this emotion is terrifying, and do you know what? The dinosaurs are going to speak for themselves.
Dinosaurs will do it, exactly. Whereas the music, when I think of the music moments in the first film, it's the moments of landing at the waterfall, and then of course that incredible moment where they see the dinosaur for the first time. Unbelievable. Him turning Ellie's head. And again, this was, and it's hard actually, I suppose, now to kind of understate what an amazing moment this was in cinema too, because these were revolutionary visual effects that nobody had ever seen.
Oh my God.
Right? So this really was the first time that you were seeing something that realistically looked like a dinosaur.
Absolutely.
Unbelievable.
How fast are they?
Well, we clocked the T-Rex at 32 miles an hour.
T-Rex?
Mm-hmm.
You said you've got a T-Rex?
Say again.
We have a T-Rex.
Put your head between your knees.
Dr. Grant. My dear Dr. Sattler. Welcome to Jurassic Park.
The characters are feeling what we're all feeling, right? And again, it wouldn't have worked had this been a bunch of cynical characters that didn't care, I think.
No, absolutely. I think that's the really good thing. I think it is really interesting because, like I said, is like when you start rewatching it loads, you do start to just question, even though all the characters are mostly doing everything for the right reason, in the same way like John Hammond's doing things for the right reason, and like I keep saying, like the thing that he wanted to do, and the thing that Spielberg is trying to get across, and the thing that John Williams' score is trying to get across is he wanted to bring awe and wonder to the world.
Yeah.
And yeah, when I saw Jurassic World for the first time, I think I was really taken by the idea of getting to see the park in full flow, in full swing. That felt like a really interesting idea. I liked all the little meta touches that they built in, like the fact that they need to up the ante. They need new dinosaurs. It was sort of a commentary on the fact that, hey, to pull audiences in for a new Jurassic movie, they have seen the T-Rex, they have seen the Velociraptor, they've seen the Spinosaurus. We've got to give them something new and something more dangerous to kind of up the ante in terms of blockbuster spectacle and building that into the plot of the film.
That was a little clip you heard there from my discussion with the brilliant Ben Travis about Jurassic World in 2015, and that was part of a Jurassic retrospective that we did over on Patreon a few years ago, back in 2022, in the build-up for Jurassic World Dominion, which turned out to be absolutely dreadful. I rewatched and discussed with various different guests every single film in the Jurassic franchise. So if off the back of this discussion you fancy hearing discussions of The Lost World, Jurassic Park 3, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, and Jurassic World Dominion, all of those are available in our Jurassic Park retrospective mini-series, available for $10 patrons. Patreon.com/evolution of horror. If you sign up at that $10 per month level, you'll get access to all of our franchise retrospectives and mini-seasons, including the Jurassic Park one, and I will link to it in the show notes. Patreon.com/evolution of horror.
Grandpa!
Kids! Go away!
We miss you. We love the
Why on earth are his grandchildren on that weekend away?
Right.
What the fuck is wrong with those parents?
Yeah.
That they decided, because it's not even like one of the parents is there.
No.
We could have definitely done with another character to die.
Just one parent character.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The parent doesn't even come. It just drops them off.
It's really fun.
And then they come to the island and they fly by themselves, and children being by themselves without their parents and whatever.
It's very Spielberg, isn't it? The kind of absent parents.
Yeah.
This is E.T. This is,
But I always think, like, I wonder how Attenborough, I wonder how John Hammond sold that to his kids.
Right.
I can't remember off the top of my head if it was a son or a daughter, but I wonder how what are the kids up to this weekend? Do they fancy coming to Costa Rica? Because he's a billionaire, so I bet they've probably grown up with him doing mad shit like that all the time, like taking them on mad holidays and things like that. Do you think that John Hammond was like, hey, listen, they're coming for a practice run on a theme park.
I've got a
involving
lawyer,
the worst predators that have ever walked this earth.
I've got a lawyer and 3 scientists coming to my island to check if what I'm doing is ethical and safe.
Yeah.
Do you want to chuck your kids into the mix? Why not? It's like, wait, what?
And it's like when you start thinking more about Hammond's actions and what he does, and it's just like, even to the point where, like, Ellie points out, they pick these particular plants because they look good.
Yeah.
It's fucking poisonous plants, man. And like, why are you putting them anywhere near where herbivores are going to be? Like, are you stupid? Yeah. And it's just like that kind of, it's just another example of just like the lack of thinking that's going into this whole thing.
Exactly.
And it boils down to, we haven't even talked about Dennis Nedry, who was just like one of the best characters ever.
Oh, yeah.
But it's just like, John Hammond there, even I think in the book as well, but let's focus on the film. It's just like if any nerds listen to this, and I'm sure there are quite a few who work in like computers and things like that, it's like what John Hammond does is he creates a single point of failure system in the networking terms and like engineering. It's called the SPOF. It's like if you create a single point of failure where things can go, like either a server or a piece of technology or a person where if if that goes down, if they die, if that computer breaks, your whole system goes down. That's a big no-no.
Exactly.
Anyway. And it's definitely a big no-no when you've got animals that can kill people on it. And it's just like, how has this been allowed to happen? And then, like, you know, you get more and more. I'm not sure what Nedry was asking for to be paid, but...
Right, well, so this is it. So you're absolutely right. You've got these dangerous monsters, and then all of it is in the hands of the man that has butterfingers, right? So our lives are in Dennis Nedry's hands. Dennis Nedry is an incredible character, and this is where the theme of... I suppose you get this even from the opening sequence, the theme of kind of underpaid workers.
Yes, I mean, that's kind of what's happened,
and capitalism and greed and everything else, right?
Yeah.
And we learn from the beginning that Dennis Nedry, clearly this incredibly smart computer nerd guy who has designed all of the security systems for these guys and has everything at his fingertips and has complete control of the island, wants more money, right? And John Hammond is not going to give him more money.
Well, that's the thing. We don't even really know how much money he's asking for.
No.
Like, we don't. Like, presumably, I don't know if he's... Hammond seems to be cutting corners in quite a lot of places.
Yeah.
But if you do have someone who is smarter than you and runs your entire island, I feel like you'd be like, let's just treat them well.
Let's make sure they're happy.
Dennis, our lives are in your hands and you have butterfingers?
I'm totally unappreciated in my time. You can run this whole park from this room with minimal staff for up to 3 days. You think that kind of automation is easy? Or cheap? You know anybody who can network 8 connection machines and debug 2 million lines of code for what I bid for this job? Because if you can, I'd love to see him try.
Sorry about your financial problems, Dennis. I really am, but they are your problems.
Oh, you're right, John. You're absolutely right. You know, everything's my problem.
I will not get drawn into another financial debate with you, Dennis. I really will not.
There's been hardly any debate at all.
And, you know, Dennis Nedry knows how hard he's working. And what I will say... fair fucks to the guy. He seems to have set up a really good system.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. And actually, genuinely, I think there is an element, like you say, you don't know how much money he's asking for.
Yeah.
You don't know how generous or stingy John Hammond is. But even that line he says to Dennis, where he says, I don't blame people for their mistakes, but I do ask them to pay for them.
Yeah.
So actually what you're saying is, you don't really care about morality, you care about money.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that is a really telling line from John Hammond, I think, right? That is actually like...
where he's maybe like, you've made so many mistakes that I'm going to keep you on a low wage.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really interesting
And it doesn't
thing.
matter if you are good at what you do, if you are sorry, if you are a good worker.
No.
You need to pay for what you do financially.
Well, I think like the cutting corners thing is a big thing in man-made monsters and it's just like, well, we should do it like this. It's going to take a bit longer. Well, we could do it like this then.
Yeah.
And you're like, what happened in there? There is a chance that things could go tits up. But how much money or time are we going to save? It's going to be a lot. Let's do it. I think there's a really interesting thing with Jurassic Park, and I love both schools of thought with this. Do you know in the embryos thing, Tyrannosaurus is spelt incorrectly?
Oh, I didn't. So in the little cryogenic thing.
In the little cryogenics thing.
Yeah.
Tyrannosaurus is spelt incorrectly. And it's really interesting because lots of people think that that's a mistake.
Yeah.
And it's just a production design mistake, and it was just spelled incorrectly. Tyrannosaurus, not a word that we spell every single day. Is it a word that if you were a production designer on a movie that you would...
You'd probably check?
I think you would.
Yeah.
But it happens all the time. Like, very famously, I think the first cut of Grand Budapest Hotel, Mendel's, that box, spelt incorrectly.
Right.
Because there's just so many eyes on it constantly, and you just, it flows over. So Tyrannosaurus is spelled incorrectly on the embryo thing. Lots of people think that it's an actual production design mistake. Other people just go, no. It's another example of cutting corners.
Yeah.
Like this giant billionaire setup park, they can't even be bothered to check the spelling on their fucking embryo cages. Like, that's how little they are paying. That's how little respect they're paying to these dinosaurs.
Yeah.
They don't even fucking spell their names right.
I love that. It's so good. And how good is Samuel L. Jackson as well, right? While we're talking about
it's just bonkers. I think every single character, and there's not many, like I think there's like 19 or 20 speaking roles in this movie, right? But it's one of those ones where all of the main cast are doing something are fantastic. And that's the thing, is like, you forget that Samuel L. Jackson, who now is Samuel L. Jackson, but like 1993 wasn't really.
No.
But like Wayne Knight, you know, is a bit player in a lot of different things. Like, obviously he became known for like Seinfeld, Third Rock from the Sun. That's who he is for me. But, you know, he's just a guy.
Yeah.
But like, everybody is doing something fantastic with this.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, because it was really Richard Attenborough that was the big name in this, really, if you think about it. You know?
Yeah, I guess like that's the thing, is like Goldblum would have been kind of like culty, like
Goldblum,
Sam Neill,
Laura Dern, Sam Neill, all pretty culty, I would say, really.
Although like generally respected actors.
Yes, but almost more kind of art house indie kind of circuit, you know, not like they would open a movie. Names,
definitely,
you know?
no. I think that's a really interesting thing about it.
It is. And yeah, I mean, there's almost too much to talk about, but to talk about that, the dinosaur DNA stuff, Mr. DNA, I guess we should talk about the pseudoscience of it, right?
Yeah.
And again, it's so clever. I think this is what's so clever about Michael Crichton's story, because you can absolutely believe this, right? You could buy into it as a kind of movie pseudoscience.
Yeah.
You know?
It seems like they could.
Yeah. The fact that, and it's very clever, because not only have they said, right, so we found mosquitoes in amber, fossilized from millions of years ago that sucked the blood of dinosaurs, therefore we can access dinosaur blood.
Yeah.
But then the thing about we're going to mix it with amphibian frog DNA in order to create the animals. And so therefore that kind of gives us the reason later why they can change sex, right, and reproduce, which is, I mean, it's all there quite simply in that little animated video.
It is, and it's really interesting where the frog one they just chuck away and they just go, and there was a couple of holes, so we just use frogs. That's fine. And then later on, where Ellie goes, well, there are actually some frogs who have known to switch sex, or maybe Alan says that. Yeah, it's like there's some frogs who known to switch sex. We're like, well, in a shit film, that is like, you know, awful exposition.
Yeah.
But for some reason in this, you kind of go along with it and you go, oh shit, that's crazy.
Absolutely. Well, this is again what's so interesting about this film, because really so much of the first hour is exposition, right? It is characters explaining to each other what they're doing and literally talking about the themes of the movie. Yeah. Like talking about, should you be doing this? The ethics of it, all of this stuff. Yes, somehow it doesn't feel stale, and in fact, the more I watch it, the more I love those scenes in the first hour, you know?
John, the kind of control you're attempting is, it's not possible. Listen, if there's one thing the history of evolution has taught us, it's that life will not be contained. Life breaks free, it expands to new territories, and it crashes through barriers painfully, maybe even dangerously, but, well, there it is. There it is.
You're implying that a group composed entirely of female animals will breed?
No, I'm simply saying that life finds a way.
It's really interesting that it was made by Universal, who, I mean, at that point, Universal Studios wasn't what it is now. But
they were known for their...
You can see the bones of Universal Studios. Yeah. And, like, you can see... You know, it's the build-up. It's like if I don't know if did you go on Velocicoaster when you were in the thing? Yeah. So, like, the whole build-up to the brand new ride that's in Orlando in Florida, which is genuinely one of the best roller coasters I've ever been on in my life.
Unbelievable.
All the build-up is like why they're doing this, how they're doing this, and because they want to show people, hey, this is what we're doing with, you know, the DNA and stuff like that. So it really feels like a ride when you're there, and it's kind of like it's basically the build-up to it.
Are these characters erotica?
No. We have no animatronics here. No. Those people are the real miracle workers of Jurassic Park.
In unfertilized emus or ostrich eggs. And it's no...
Wait a minute. How do you interrupt the cellular mitosis?
Can't we see the unfertilized eggs?
Chocolate. Can't you stop these things? I'm sorry, it's kind of a ride.
Well, there is this brilliant kind of irony when you think about it, right? In that this movie made by Universal about a theme park gone wrong ends up becoming such a money-making hit for Universal. And essentially, you know, for anyone who's been to Universal Studios theme parks, it's like Jurassic Park is such a huge part of why Universal Studios became one of the biggest and best beloved theme parks in the world, right? Universal Studios theme park, it was already big at this point. You know, they had the King Kong ride. In fact, actually, Steven Spielberg early on actually thought about hiring the designer of the King Kong ride to make some of the animatronics for Jurassic Park. So theme parks are kind of in its blood, really. So Universal already had a few iconic rides, but really it didn't become the theme park we all know and love until the success of Jurassic Park, right? So it's this really interesting thing where we've got this kind of satire on consumerism, theme park culture here. And then, of course, it became kind of the ultimate, this movie kind of became the ultimate theme park ride, you know?
None of these attractions are ready yet, of course, but the park will open with the basic tour you're about to take. And then other rides will come online 6 or 12 months after that. Absolutely spectacular designs, spared no expense.
And we can charge anything we want, $2,000 a day, $10,000 a day, and people will pay it. And then there's the merchandise. And I can personally...
Donald. This park was not built to cater only for the super rich.
I can appreciate what it's trying to say about consumerism and about parks and things like that. That being said, I absolutely fucking love Universal Studios.
My God.
It's one of the most fun days that you can have. And it's just, and like, I've been really, really lucky to get to go to Universal for we cover Halloween Horror Nights quite a lot. We've been there together.
Well, we talked about it together on this podcast, actually.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, because we did the Halloween Horror Nights.
Exactly. Yeah. And there's been so many times when I've like been there and maybe extended my trip, so past Halloween Horror Nights, and then had a couple of afternoons to myself and just walked into Jurassic Park and just spent, you know, because I think you can probably do the Jurassic Park area maybe in like 2 hours. Yeah. And I've spent like 6 hours in there, just going around every single place to get a beer, getting drunk in Jurassic Park and just looking at it and going like, fuck, imagine if this was real.
Well, and you know, maybe we should move on to talk about Stan Winston and the effects, because I think there's a really interesting fact, isn't there, that part of the kind of the animatronics, they were inspired by the King Kong ride, right, as well. And I think that's really interesting. So again, theme parks run through the DNA of this whole project.
Absolutely,
which is so interesting.
That's the thing, is the kind of the whole point of it is they want to set it up as a theme park, and that's the thing. And if you've ever been lucky enough to go to Universal Studios, like that's the main. I love the Jurassic Park the ride. Ride. It's called Jurassic Park the Ride, which is the river ride, which is the water ride. It's essentially like, you know, the best log flume you'll ever go on.
It's so good. Yeah.
And, you know, it's amazing. The way it starts off is you're just in Jurassic Park. You're just in Jurassic Park and you're going past like the hadrosaurs, the cove, and like you're going past a Stegosaurus and
it's so beautiful, and they're all like animatronic versions of dinosaurs, right?
And like the one in Orlando is currently closed, I think, until November because they're refurbing it. But I recently went in the one in Japan and that is in really, really good nick. And it's just fun. And then it goes wrong, like a disaster movie. But there's so much part of me that is just like, I would have another ride where it's just fine. Because I don't know if you've ever done there's an Avatar ride, which is essentially like it's a small world.
Right,
everything is
just going around the world.
You're literally just going around the Avatar world. And you're going around Pandora and everything is nice and they're all singing and playing their fucking music and stuff. Give me that, the Jurassic Park. Like, I don't need... Like, I love Velocicoaster, but I think in Velocicoaster, I think the lore of the ride, I might be wrong, I don't think it's gone wrong. Because most rides in Universal have a trajectory where it's just like, hey, here's Jurassic Park and everything's fine. Oh, no! And then that's the exciting bit. Whereas I think Velocicoaster is basically... Park attendance is down. People are bored of dinosaurs. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with these people. But park attendance is down. So they make a roller coaster that goes through the middle of the Velociraptor paddock.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And I think in the lore of the story of the ride, nothing goes wrong. But you just go past all the Velociraptors and stuff like that, which is fucking unbelievable. Like, so that's fine. Whereas it's like, I just want a Jurassic Park ride where nothing goes wrong.
You're missing, Gav, you're missing the point of Jurassic Park. You're missing the point. This is the point Michael Crichton was making. You can't have that. You can't have these nice things. You cannot have...
But it exists in the world because there's a movie... There's a time in Jurassic Park's timeline after Jurassic Park 3,
before
Jurassic World.
Fine.
In that bit... Jurassic World's been going for a while
Yes.
and going fine.
If you went in like 2011, you'd be fine.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's true.
Gennaro said to stay put.
Kids okay?
I didn't ask. Why wouldn't they be?
Kids get scared.
What's to be scared about? Just a little hiccup in the power.
I didn't say I was scared.
I didn't say you were scared.
I know.
And the tour is doomed, Gav, from the start, right? Let's get to the horror, shall we? Because the tour begins and it almost immediately goes wrong. They don't see any dinosaurs, and then they come across a triceratops, which is ill. Then there's a storm brewing, and everything has to stop, essentially, right? Meanwhile, Dennis Nedry goes off and he shuts down all of the security systems momentarily so that he can steal some DNA under the radar. And then this is where we get the infamous Tyrannosaurus set piece, right? Where we've got two cars, the kids in one car, the adults in the other. The T-Rex is let loose breaks through the electric fence, which has been shut down, and attacks the children. And it is, I think, Gav, like masterful horror filmmaking. The way it builds anticipation, the rippling of the water in the glass, right? Just the sounds of it, to the fence coming down, to the goat being eaten. The way it kind of slowly, bit by bit, reveals this T-Rex.
Where's the goat?
And maybe this is a good time to talk about some of these incredible visual and practical effects here, because the T-Rex scene still, I think, stands out as one of the best visual moments in the film. And of course, we had the brilliant Stan Winston, who was kind of, he was known for, he had made the Queen Alien in Aliens, he'd done a bunch of other projects throughout the 80s. And Spielberg hired him to kind of create these monsters, these big animatronic physical things, right? But then also you had Industrial Light and Magic kind of creating these revolutionary CGI visual effects. And visual effects had come on a little bit by this point. We'd had Terminator 2 and The Abyss and stuff, right? But none of it had ever looked kind of photorealistic, I suppose. But that blend of practical effort that's put in by people like Stan Winston and his team, blended with the CGI, and it still looks absolutely incredible.
Boy, do I hate being right all the time.
They had to build a lot of it.
Yeah.
So they were like, okay, we want to do this shot. Okay, how do we do that practically? It's going to be incredibly hard. Okay, well, then we have to use it sparingly.
Yeah.
And I think then, because they're using it sparingly, and what you're seeing is like, a big foot coming down.
It is a perfect storm, literally, right? Because I think the other reason that it still looks so good is that Spielberg knows how to shoot and light this stuff.
Oh yeah.
And so they are able to mask some of it by the fact that it is night, there are no lights, there's thunder and lightning, there's rain.
Oh my god.
So that masks probably some of the joins when it comes to early 90s CGI. And so the way that Spielberg chooses to film it, the camera angles, the lighting, it just looks unbelievable. It looks perfect. Everything about that sequence is about as perfect as you can get.
It's a weird mix of special sauce, isn't it? Because you look at it and you just go, I always think about this. I was like, I would love to be on. I've never worked on a movie set. I've been on movie sets, but I've never worked on one. It's like, do people come away on the day going, we fucking smashed that?
Yeah,
that was amazing. And I feel like you must have been with those T-Rex.
You'd think so.
Because I think there was so much going on in them that just looked perfect.
The way it sort of takes its time. It doesn't have a jump scare. It doesn't have something like... I feel like these days it might be done with like the T-Rex is there next to the car. Boom. And it's like, no, we're going to hear it approach.
Yeah.
We're going to see the dead goat. We're going to see the fence collapse. And we're going to see it slowly walk out towards us.
Well, it's really interesting because we talked about, obviously, there's no way of talking about Jurassic Park without talking about the parallels to Jaws.
Yeah.
But I always think of like the main sort of approach of the shark, like, I always the Jurassic Park's version of that is the cup of water.
Exactly.
And it's just like those two things. It's just like the ultimate bit of tension where you just like look into the water, and that is essentially going.
Unbelievable. Spielberg just like using cinematic language in perfect ways every time.
But also weirdly funny.
Yes.
Because I remember as a kid finding what happened to the goat's leg landing, the bloody goat. I remember finding that absolutely hilarious as a naughty kid, and I was a naughty kid.
Yeah.
As an 8-year-old naughty kid.
Yeah.
Seeing the goat going ha ha ha, and seeing like the oldest. I had an older sister.
Yeah.
Like seeing the older sister terrified and me laughing and being silly.
Yes.
I was like, this is exactly me.
There is something funny about it, and then obviously Gennaro getting eaten off the toilet is funny
great.
too.
Yeah,
so again, there's something really clever that Spielberg does here because he is still making it a family film.
Yeah.
So it rides that line so carefully of being almost too much, but not quite.
ITV show it at like 3 PM.
Yeah, of course. It's a PG, right? It's a PG.
I think I've just done the series of tweets, tweeting every single time it was out over Christmas, and it was on. Like Sky Movies were putting it on like 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, exactly.
They have said that this is okay for children to watch.
And it is. I watched it age 6, you watched it age 8.
Yeah.
And we loved it, right? So it is okay for kids, but it really rides that line because when you watch those kids screaming and, like you say, the T-Rex coming through the roof from above.
Yeah.
And they are being crushed and attacked and traumatized. It's like, holy shit, it goes hard. It brings you, I think as a child especially, it takes you right up to the edge of what you can handle.
It does, and I think what it does a really good job of as well, and I think a lot of sci-fi and horror movies do a really bad job of, is it. I know it obviously does this almost like ad nauseum, but it goes, these are the rules for the dinosaurs. This is like, the T-Rex's vision is based on movement.
I love it.
So if you stay still, everything is fine.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, cool. And like, it sets up all these different things.
And then Lex with a fucking torch.
And then just goes crazy. and I think that's a really good thing.
Yeah.
For it. But I mean, the thing is, I don't have the evidence in front of me or anything like that. But it's like, I just can't imagine what movies exist now for kids that would have been similar to this. But then we grew up in a very, very odd time where RoboCop had a cartoon spin-off.
Exactly.
And
it was different.
Alien was like Alien and that franchise was one of the like highest selling kids toys.
Yes.
And it's like, how do we get from Alien to kids toys?
It's like Freddy Krueger becoming like an action figure.
Absolutely.
You know?
Do you know what I mean? It's just like,
I guess there was slightly more of a
why does RoboCop have a fucking cartoon spin-off?
So funny.
It's one of the most disgusting films I've ever seen.
Verhoeven. It's like, ridiculous. You're right. And I think there was a bit more of a monoculture back then, wasn't there? So things had to appeal more, and there was more of a 4-quadrant thing for everything. But Steven Spielberg nails it, I think.
Yeah.
Like, it does work so well. Even seeing our first proper on-screen death, which is a man being eaten in front of us, is funny. That is a punchline, right?
When Gennaro, he's on the toilet,
he's on the toilet, and I remember even thinking,
it's brutal. Like there's screams, like the screams are rough.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah,
and he's going rah, and he's getting thrashed around. And yet, I remember even as like a 6-7-year-old being like, "Oh, this is fine. This is hilarious."
The man on the toilet
because he was on the toilet. Exactly. What's your favorite dinosaur, Gav?
Ever?
What's your favourite dinosaur that we see in the first movie?
Oh, okay. Favourite dinosaur we see in the movie. I mean, just because it is the best sequence, I think. And like, the kitchen is obviously incredible and so well done. The T-Rex down is just incredible. The Dilophosaurus bit.
Oh my God.
With Dennis Nedry.
Oh, nice boy. Nice boy.
And I think because you are kind of built up that he is sort of villainous, everything that's going wrong is kind of his fault.
Yes, completely.
But it is sort of also John Hammond's fault anyway.
But yeah, you're right. On the primary level, Dennis is the villain.
Yeah. And I think, I just think the Dilophosaurus bit is just so good, and it's just so silly. And I think like Wayne Knight is such a good actor because he's just one of those people that understands why he's in a film. And it's like, why have I been cast in a film? Oh, I've been cast to be the slob, the idiot. And do you know what? I can do that better than anybody else right now on the planet. And I just think it's brilliant and it's scary. And I think the Dilophosaurus, you know, the way that it actually kills its prey is actually disgusting. And I think it just has this horrible scream.
I think that's what it is that makes it feel the most like a horror movie monster in this.
It's a short movie. It's a short film. Like, it's
a short film.
And I think that's definitely the best one. And I think it just looks brilliant.
It looks amazing. It's scary.
It's really
that scary. Is a jump scare. There are a couple of jump scares, but the build up to it, the fact that it looks friendly to begin with, and then it reveals its horrible, coloured thing that springs out of its neck, and then the fact that it spits that horrible stuff.
Yeah.
And then the bit that really freaked me out as a kid is when he gets in the car and it's in the fucking passenger seat. Oh my god. Unbelievable, horrible.
It's really, really good. I think like that is the best dinosaur that we do see in it. Though obviously the Brachiosaurus bits are really, really good, but you don't spend that much time with them.
No. And I think that and I think you're right. And there's obviously like with dinosaurs there is an amorality to them, as in like they're not doing what they're doing maliciously.
No. You did this.
The T-Rex especially, maybe that's what makes the T-Rex also, that sequence, feel just about bearable as a kid, is that you feel like it's this big, dumb, hulking thing that doesn't know any better.
No.
Right? And so there's something about it that makes it slightly less scary. Whereas when you get to the Dilophosaurus, there's something creepier about it. And then you get to the Velociraptor and you get, these are smart and malicious.
Oh,
and
absolutely,
vicious,
yeah.
right?
I think that's the thing, is that all the Velociraptor bits are shot like serial killers shot like Michael Myers.
It's like Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah. Whereas I think like the T-Rex, I mean, the T-Rex, weirdly as well, if you look at the trajectory of that T-Rex, and that T-Rex does come back, that particular T-Rex does come back as well. And it has like a sort of little hero arc.
It does.
But it's really interesting where, you know, Alan Grant says like T-Rex doesn't want to be fed, it wants to hunt. And I think like they're basically forcing these poor things, and it's like whatever you feel about like seeing animals, going to the zoo and seeing animals come.
Exactly.
There's a part of you that's just like, okay, that was very cool to see a gorilla. That gorilla doesn't want to be here.
Exactly.
Like, no gorilla wants to be in fucking London.
I think that's right. And I think the T-Rex throughout, all the way up to Jurassic World, I think.
Yeah.
He gets a hero shot, doesn't he? He represents this idea of like the might, the danger and the awe of dinosaurs.
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
You know, he is not bad, he's not good.
No.
He is just what he is.
No.
He's like the wonder of nature, essentially. And that's like the thing that the T-Rex throughout this franchise sort of represents, I think.
Well, there's there's an amazing scene with Tim, like the little kid who's the youngest. He has been attacked by the T-Rex.
Yeah.
And then later on, when he's watching the T-Rex kill maybe the compies, I think. Well, no, not the compies, the big ones that are coming. Gallimimus.
Yes.
When he's killing the Gallimimus, he cannot stop watching. He's like, look at and he's just so into watching it. And it's like, bear in mind, that's the thing that probably just traumatized him for life. He's still looking at it going, wow, that's amazing.
And again, Tim is all of us, right? And this is the other thing about all of these characters, is that they are all in awe of what they're seeing. You know, there's a mix of fear and awe the whole time.
Yeah.
Right? Which is amazing.
Tim, for me as well, I'm not a screenwriter, I'm not a movie maker at all, and I don't claim to be. And also, I don't think that you have to be. I'm one of those people who definitely doesn't think that you have to have made a movie to be able to critique a movie. I think that's a fucking nonsense. But Tim, for me, feels like the easiest hole-in-one character to bring back, and never got brought back.
Yeah,
like he is related to John Hammond.
Yeah,
he's John Hammond's grandson.
Yeah. He's a dinosaur expert, basically.
He was born into the InGen and the Hammond company.
Yeah.
For me, is the easiest hole-in-one to bring back in the later films.
Yeah.
Because surely he would take over the family business.
Yeah, it'd be perfect.
Because, like, I think the person who plays Lex, the actress doesn't act anymore. I think she lives in like the Dominican Republic. I interviewed her once weirdly on a Skype.
Yeah.
And she's still on my Skype. But the guy who played Tim, and I do want to look his name up because it's just
Joseph Mazzello.
Yeah, Joseph Mazzello.
Yeah.
He's still acting. Like, he was in the Queen movie, he was in Social Network, and like, he's a good actor. When they brought back Dominion, I have no idea why we decided, it's going to be Dodgson. That's the character we're going to bring back.
No.
It's like, surely the easiest one to bring back is Tim, and now he is the one running InGen and, you know, all this different stuff.
Yeah.
And he's also then, because the good thing about that is you then have a connection to Ellie, Ian, and Alan.
Yeah.
Because
perfect.
That's another like emotional thing that you can bring back. And it always really frustrated me and also bewildered me that they never brought him back.
No, it's insane.
He's even out of Alan and Ellie and Ian, it's like, he's the one that you bring back. It's so interesting.
And I want to finish by talking about the Velociraptors and a character that I cannot believe we haven't even mentioned up until this point, Muldoon.
Oh, man.
Oh, my God.
There's just so much to talk about.
Muldoon. Absolutely love him. Love his shorts. Love the fact that he cocks his leg up on every fence and every surface that he can.
He's just an incredible character.
I can see the shed from here. We can make it if we run.
No, we can't.
Why not?
Because we're being hunted.
Oh, God.
From the bushes straight ahead. It's all right.
Like hell it is.
Run. Towards the shed. I've got her.
So he's the park warden, but he's in charge of security. And there's so many times where he's just like, I told you how many times you needed locking mechanisms.
Yeah.
It's your fucking job, Robert.
I love that his first line is, they should all be destroyed.
Get somebody else in. Get somebody else in.
It's so good.
Because it's like, that's the thing, is like, he's disrespecting. It's all about the disrespect of, like, you know, like Ian talks about all the time, is just like, wow, the disrespect for like, danger here is actually bewildering. It's like, his disrespect is a comedic thing. It's like, they shouldn't exist. Why have you taken the fucking job, mate?
He's like a game hunter, isn't he? He's like the guy that in Jumanji that comes and hunts them all. Like, he's like that type of person.
I think sometimes in movies, one of my like big critiques is like, this actor or this character feels like it's from a different movie, and he feels like he's from a different movie because he cannot wait for it all to kick off.
It's true. It's like he's ready for it as well.
He can't fucking wait.
He's yet another character that is like, this whole thing is a mistake.
Yeah,
we're all gonna die, and I'm gonna be ready for it. You know, like that from the beginning. Exactly.
But that's the thing, is like he's like, oh, this whole thing is a mistake. It's all gonna go tits up. Could be a laugh though.
Yeah.
Clever girl.
But Muldoon is just one of the most. It is a really interesting but also bewildering character every time you watch it, because he should be Owen or Chris Pratt from Jurassic World.
Right.
That's who it should be. It should be somebody who understands the animals, respects them.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is like, Owen feeds the raptors by hand.
Yes.
Like, he nurtured them as a baby.
Yeah.
Muldoon is basically sitting above them, feeding them from a fucking crane, spitting at them, going like, I wish you were all fucking
You
dead.
should all be
Like,
destroyed.
Literally just like pissing bile onto them every single chance that he gets. And it's just like, no wonder they all fucking hate you.
I know.
Like, it's mental.
Timmy, what is it? It's a velociraptor. It's inside.
Let me finish by asking you about the final act with the Velociraptors. The Velociraptors have been built up from the beginning, literally from the beginning, from when Alan Grant is telling the little boy about the raptors and the claw. We see one being born.
Yeah.
It's like they are building it, and we see the cow being fed. We hear the stories about the way that they work as a pack. And the film does an amazing storytelling job as building them up to be like, they're the big bad.
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
Unbelievable. And then it doesn't disappoint, does it? I think that kitchen sequence with the kids and the raptors is unbelievable.
I mean, it's so good to the point where they kind of redo it in Rebirth.
Yeah,
but with the different
dinosaurs.
Yeah, but I think that's the interesting thing is like, even though I've seen Jurassic Park, Jurassic Lost World also has raptors.
Yeah,
Jurassic Park 3 has raptors.
Yeah.
World,
well, that's when they make them
and it's
like
just,
friendly.
Exactly, and then it's just like, I don't think we've seen enough of the raptors. Like, and that's why I was really excited by the end of Fallen Kingdom, where they went, oh, by the way, dinosaurs are now just out in the world. And the wrong people again hold them. People are buying dinosaurs for like 3 million.
Yeah.
Which I think it was like at the time. So my favorite dinosaur is an Ankylosaurus. So hang on, how much is an I think Ankylosaurus costs 6 million.
All right.
Like I think in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, an Ankylosaurus costs 6 million to buy.
Yeah.
Just to buy.
Just to
so
buy
you could buy the genomes or the DNA to grow your own fully grown Ankylosaurus. Gareth Bale, one of my favorite footballers ever in the world, to go from Tottenham Hotspur to Real Madrid cost £85 million.
That's amazing. That's like 10 or 15 Ankylosauruses. Incredible.
And like, don't get me wrong, if I owned a football club, so I would say I'm some, Welsh oligarch, and it came on, you can either buy a footballer or you can buy 8 Ankylosaurus. I'm probably going to buy the Ankylosaurus.
I'm going to take the dinosaurs.
And that's the thing is, I think Fallen Kingdom, lots of people really, really don't like it. I really liked it. But I love where Fallen Kingdom ends, where it ends with dinosaurs are now in the world, they're in the hands of the wrong people.
Yes, great.
And that's it now. It's going to go tits up, and then we're going to have Dominion, where it's going to be like, how do humans and dinosaurs like coexist?
Totally.
Turns out they just don't. They can't be bothered to do it.
Yeah.
But I think that was a really interesting thing where I was like, oh my God. And in the marketing lead up to Dominion, I think, they basically had a load of sort of short films. They're like 3-minute, 2-minute, long extended trailers, which were just scenes of people being out in the world
with dinosaurs
and things going wrong. And one of them was it was like a trailer park, I think, where a dinosaur attacks them. And I was like, oh my God, Dominion is just going to be
amazing.
Loads these little moments. And the apex predators is going to be people, dinosaurs like the Velociraptor, who are just going to be out in the world causing havoc. And it's just, I thought we were going to go back to Dominion. I thought Dominion was going to be a horror movie, and it was just going to be, here are a load of dinosaurs killing a load of people. And we didn't get that at all. And I feel like then Rebirth came along, and they basically, there's barely a Velociraptor in Rebirth.
No, there's not a Velociraptor. Yeah, they kind of did away with Velociraptors, didn't they?
Yeah, and I just think, like, they're set up in Jurassic Park to be, like, the ultimate killer.
The ultimate killer, absolutely. Like, they are, in Jurassic Park, the scariest dinosaur to come up against, right? And I love it. I think it's amazing because they are smart. They work as a pack.
Yeah.
And again, you're putting Spielberg putting children in danger here. We've just got these 2 kids having to evade them. And like you said earlier, Gav, that's a slasher sequence, right?
I think that's the thing, is like we never got enough of it. And that's why I always, like I said like 4 times on this podcast now, but it's like, that's why I always, anytime people are like, well, people are tired of dinosaurs. We're not tired of dinosaurs.
Yeah, we're
not.
not.
Just tired of you using them incorrectly. Completely. And it's just like, give us a full on, I think we've got to the point now where, like Star Wars has happened, like what's happened with Star Wars, we've gone off and had these little series or little movies where it's not the main one.
No.
It's something else. Why aren't we getting now with Jurassic Park? Because it makes so much money.
Well, we don't really have any other franchises about dinosaurs either.
No.
Like, it's so weird. It's like, clearly a lot of people in the world love dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and actually, you're so right. It's like, I think people have missed the point.
Yeah.
About like what we actually just love is seeing dinosaurs. You don't need to create new creatures and hybrids and all the other things.
Mr. Hammond, after careful consideration, I've decided not to endorse your park.
So have I.
I mean, oh God. And again, like, what a beautiful ending, because it's just pure chaos. Lex saves the day with her computer CD-ROM knowledge.
Which, weirdly, because I know we talked about this a little bit, it was just like it doesn't, even though that should feel incredibly dated, I kind of go along with it.
Oh, I love it.
I love it. It's good. Like,
I love it.
I think like lots of computer bits and MacGuffins and weird shit like that does age really badly.
Yes.
I think this age is fine.
It's absolutely fine, because the whole film is so much about that.
Yeah.
About the fact that an IT nerd set this whole thing in motion.
Yeah.
So you've got the young IT nerd that fixes it, essentially. Like, it feels like it's earned.
Yeah.
I get that. Yeah. And I love the calm, and we end every Jurassic Park movie with this, but the lovely calm moment where they're on the helicopter. Oh my God.
They've got away from
You always see the flying ones outside the helicopter, and there's always a sort of smile, and you go, oh, they're all fine, really.
Yeah.
You know?
And there's just like a nice hope as well. And I think it just ends really beautifully. And I think it's like that thing where, you know, Alan Grant has talked about them being more like birds.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
And I think it's just like, but also it's just that score as well. The score can make you cry. And I think just watching that scene is such a beautiful scene where he's, you know, flanked by both kids sleeping on him because they trust him so much.
They love him.
And that's something that we never got in any of the other films.
That's the other kind of big journey, isn't it?
Yeah.
That he went from grump who hates kids to being like the ultimate savior of these kids, you know,
which is, again, another reason why Tim coming back and doing it again and he should be the villain.
Yeah,
like,
it would be amazing.
But it'd be so, imagine like Tim now up against Alan. And,
well, he'd now be like 40 or something.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
He would have been a perfect baddie in Dominion.
Yeah, absolutely perfect. So obviously, I mean, I don't think anyone needs me to say this, but the film was such a huge success. It became the biggest, at the time, the biggest grossing movie ever, I believe, worldwide, right? What's really interesting is that Steven Spielberg obviously had probably a better year than any director has ever had in the history of cinema.
It's a funny year, though.
because it was Schindler's List too, right? Schindler's fucking List and Jurassic Park. And I believe it was while he was in because obviously Jurassic Park required so much post-production. While post-production for Jurassic Park was happening, he just bashed out Schindler's List. Why not? You know?
And like, bearing in mind, you know, as a Jewish man himself, like the amount of like generational trauma he's having to deal with on a daily basis by being on that set, and then also getting sent.
Unbelievable.
Oh, here's some dinosaur.
Here are some
Can
dailies.
you give a thumbs up for that?
Yeah, exactly. Can you imagine?
Can you sign this off, please, Steve?
What a guy. And obviously, so then when it came to the Oscars, he won his first Best Director Oscar and Best Picture for Schindler's List. Ooh. But then Jurassic Park won a bunch. Yeah, exactly. And Jurassic Park won, you know, it won best sound effects, best visual effects, and best sound.
Yeah.
It didn't even get nominated, Gav, for Best Picture or Best Director.
Well, this is the thing. I know now we're at the point where there's 10
categories.
So, you know,
back then it was 5.
Yeah, so 10 movies get in. This is the big question, I think, for this, in that if Schindler's List hadn't come out when it came out, does Jurassic Park win that Best Picture?
I think so.
What else was in it?
I think if Schindler's List had even been released 1 year later, I think Jurassic Park could have been in with a shout. But it's so interesting. It kind of sums up the difference between your blockbuster movie and your awardsy movie, doesn't it? You know,
this is the thing, though. When you look at what else is in the Best Picture category, right?
Yeah.
Remains of the Day. Mm-hmm. Fine. That's very
fine. Like typical kind of period drama. You know. Yeah.
The Piano.
Yeah.
In the Name of the Father.
In the Name of the Father.
That's the Daniel Day-Lewis, Jim Sheridan movie about the IRA.
Okay, fine.
Also, fine. So you're like, okay, we're not really on blockbuster territory. The other film in that category, The Fugitive.
What?
The Fugitive was such a mad Oscar film.
That is mad.
Yeah.
That is absolutely mad. Yeah.
Tommy Lee Jones won Best Supporting Actor.
Yeah, he did. He did.
And obviously Anna Paquin won for that. Holly Hunter won for The Piano. The Fugitive. And then Schindler's List won. Jurassic Park sits in that category.
100%. Of course it does. Of course it does.
It's just the fact that he had another fucking film out. So,
and you're right, you know, we've expanded the Best Picture category for that exact reason to 10 films now. And so now we have Sinners, we have Avatar, we have whatever.
But in that 5... I would, until I got to The Fugitive, I'd been like, no, I completely don't, we are in the olden times of Oscars where blockbusters aren't getting put in it.
Yeah.
If The Fugitive can sit in the Best Picture and Tommy Lee Jones can win for Best Supporting Role, I think Jurassic Park can fit in Best Picture. I think Jurassic Park can fit in Best Directing.
Yeah.
And I think Tom Hanks won for Philadelphia. That's quite...
Yeah, I'm not sure anyone could beat him for Best Actor from Jurassic Park.
Well, in Best Actor, we've got Tom Hanks for Philadelphia, Daniel Day-Lewis in The Name of the Father, Lawrence Fishburne, What's Love Got to Do with It, Anthony Hopkins, Remains of the Day, and Liam Neeson for Schindler's List. Does Sam Neill get a look in there?
Does Sam Neill, Jeff Goldblum?
Well, Sam Neill might not get into there. If Tommy Lee Jones can win for the Best Supporting for The Fugitive, I think Jeff Goldblum can win for Jurassic Park. I think if Spielberg, for whatever reason, hadn't released Schindler's List in the same year, well, we have a different trajectory for Jurassic Park.
I agree. And do you know what I think?
Not that it needed it.
Do you know what I think is that? And I just want to say, for the record, I fucking love Schindler's List. I think it's one of the most powerful movies.
It's a phenomenal movie.
Yeah, I think it's one of the most beautiful movies I've ever seen. But let me just say, Best Music, Original Score. Schindler's List by John Williams won.
Yeah.
Jurassic Park, John Williams wasn't even nominated. And that is where I think, had they been in different years...
Oh, that makes a difference.
Jurassic Park, I think, deserves... The Schindler's List score is great, but it's not as good as the Jurassic Park score.
It absolutely is not, yeah. So, I think whatever tax thing was going on, whatever was going on there, because Schindler's List is not universal as well, is
Springsteen won the Oscar for Best Song, Streets of Philadelphia, that year. Fair enough, fair play.
It's good. Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think, and you know when that really amazing Spielberg documentary came out?
Yeah.
It was amazing, but once it gets to that year... You get barely any Jurassic Park, and annoyingly, and I think I'm really glad that we didn't spend a lot of this podcast talking about it, is I think the visual effects stuff ends up taking the brunt of the conversation.
That's right. I think that's...
Because like people are like, oh, the first use of CG, and so like, oh, mix with this. And it's like, I'm glad that we didn't talk about that at all, really, because it's just kind of annoying that is the thing that people talk about. Where you're actually being like... And the same with Jaws, is like, the thing they talk about is like, the shark didn't work. And it's just like, people distill this one story from it.
I agree. And I think what I hope that we've established is that this movie, everything works. And I think the reason the CGI works, the reason the visual effects work, is because the story works, the writing works, the cinematography works. Everything comes together in a way that it makes it perfect, right? In the same way as Jaws. You're right. Like Jaws, people talk about the crap shark that broke.
Yeah.
But what about the incredible writing? What about the monologues, the characters, the performances, the music, everything else? And it's the same with Jurassic Park. Like, it is perfect. Super quick, Gav, to finish. Sequels. I want you to rank them for me.
I've got my ranking for you.
Give me your ranking. All right, let's hear it.
It's quite controversial, I think.
Come on, let's hear it.
Obviously, number one is Jurassic Park.
Of course.
Number two, Lost World. I do think there's enough going on.
I agree with that.
It's just really good, and I think that is the last time we'll see Jeff Goldblum as Jeff Goldblum, and I think he's just brilliant in it. And I think it's like the supporting cast is just brilliant.
I agree.
I think it's fantastic. I will put Jurassic Park 3 next.
Yes.
Just because it's got Alan Grant in it. And it's got Alan Grant as Alan Grant being Alan Grant.
Yeah.
And I think this is some good bits in it.
I agree.
Then Jurassic World Rebirth.
Yeah.
Is mine. I just think what that did, it made it fun again. And I think it made going back to the island fun. And while I didn't think the characters were all that amazing, and I didn't think, the reasons for doing it wasn't that amazing, there's just lots of bits in it. And it's also, the first hour is essentially Jaws.
Oh, it's so good. I agree with you. I think... I'll read my ranking in a minute, but I've got it higher. I think Gareth Edwards did an amazing job at making it just a fun monster movie again. Yeah.
I was also incredibly lucky to go to the premiere of that film and to the party afterwards, and spoke to Gareth Edwards a lot, because there's a very famous Gareth Edwards who's a rugby player.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's really interesting because I spoke to him and I was just like, oh man, it was just, I'm a huge Jurassic Park fan, and to see a Welsh director for Jurassic, one of my favorite movies, the sequel to one of my favorite movies, is really good. And he said like, yeah, it'd be really good to not, and I mean, he's like, I'll never be the most famous Gareth Edwards in Wales, but thank you very much. But I said like, oh, I love the first hour of it. It kind of felt like Jaws. And he was like, I'm not sure how much of this is out there, but I'm going to fucking say it anyway. But he was like, yeah, Spielberg was heavily involved.
Yeah.
Real heavily involved in making that movie, and was like, he wanted that first hour to be Jaws.
Yeah, I can believe it. Totally. Yeah.
So we got Rebirth, then Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom.
Yes.
Which I actually think is fucking the best of those 3 Jurassic Worlds.
Completely agree. Agree.
Because I just think it has it goes to the island, has really good stuff. Then it does all the mad stuff. Also, in Haunted House.
Absolutely devastates me when the island is destroyed and that one dinosaur is, and
you hear the scream.
Yeah, horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, unbelievable. And then it becomes a gothic Haunted House movie in the final act. Yeah. Unbelievable. Yep.
Then I've got Jurassic World.
Yeah.
Because I do think seeing the park up and running is really good. I do think the I-Rex is fucking brilliant.
Yeah, and I think the gyrosphere sequence
is brilliant. Yeah. I think the kids are fantastic.
Yeah.
I think the kids are really generally good in it. I think having kids, again, good kids in it as well, made it really good. And I think, like, having them go through a divorce, very Spielberg-y as well.
Yeah,
totally. And I just thought there was a lot going for Jurassic World I really liked. There's also a lot I really didn't like about it. But that bit I really liked. And then Jurassic World Dominion, which I think is not only the worst Jurassic Park, it remains, I think, one of the worst films I've seen in the cinema.
Gav, I basically agree with everything you've just said.
Yeah.
The only difference is that I put Rebirth above Jurassic Park 3. So I've gone Lost World.
Those are very close to me.
I've gone Lost World, then Rebirth, then 3, then Fallen Kingdom, then Jurassic World, and then Dominion, which I echo everything you've just said, is not only the worst Jurassic Park film, it's one of the worst films I've ever sat through and talked about on the record.
Honestly, I think that is a film that I really, really, really hope that in like 10 years' time we get like a really incredible making of,
love it,
or documentary, and go like, because that's up there with like Megalopolis for me.
Yeah,
where I'm sitting there watching it, going like, there are so many decisions I am seeing happening in real time, and I cannot fathom why these decisions are happening.
I agree.
I have no involvement in movie making at all, but it really baffles me that we can go, hey, we're going to bring back this franchise and we're going to make 3 movies from it.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, cool. Have you got a plan for all the 3? No. What do you mean?
What do you mean? I know. Unbelievable. Because again,
I just think like it's just the easiest thing, and I think Jurassic World sets up Fallen Kingdom very well.
It does. And Fallen Kingdom sets up... The problem with Fallen Kingdom was that it set up such an amazing premise.
Absolutely.
Oh my God, it was maybe the most exciting premise so far in the series. Right?
And I was like, I thought we were coming back to, like... I thought Jurassic World Dominion was going to start 10 years later, and it was going to be like Last of Us,
a world of
and it was going to be like, now there are dinosaurs in the world and this is how we've had to do it. And they kind of do that, but they don't go all in on
they
it.
Don't really.
And then at the end of Dominion they just go and then with Rebirth they just go, dinosaurs died.
They died out.
They died again.
They died out, apart from in the tropical islands and the equator, i.e. let's go back to the
island. And the thing is that I just think, is it a money thing where that would be really hard to do?
Maybe, but you'd think these
buildings cost more to do CGI than
you'd think of
plants.
You'd think of all franchises, this one had the money to pull it off. That's the thing, right?
I don't know. I think that in Fallen Kingdom there's like a post-credit scene where like some pteranodons or pterodactyls fly into Vegas.
Yeah.
And you're just like, here we fucking go.
Yeah.
And then, in the lead up to Dominion, you had all those like little mini features coming out.
Dominion was...
And you're like, here we fucking
It had so much promise, because not only did it have that premise, it also was like, and by the way, we're going to bring back Sam Neill, Laura Dern and Jeff Goldblum. And I think that also was the thing that made it sting even more, because I watched Sam Neill, Laura Dern and Jeff Goldblum all die on screen, essentially.
Yeah.
You know, like creatively speaking, like they all just look like they didn't want to be there as well. It's awful.
I think the worst thing is, and it's so weird, we're recording this a couple of days before the Super Bowl because a Jurassic Park advert dropped just before we came in here. Did you know that?
No.
So there's going to be a Jurassic Park advert at the Super Bowl.
So what? There's a new film after Rebirth?
No, it's not. It's for a Wi-Fi company. Oh, for fuck's sake. But because that's what they do the Super Bowl. They do movie parodies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Jurassic World Dominion looked like a Super Bowl advert.
Yeah, it did.
It was like, if at the end of it, Dodgson was like, and you know, he actually worked for Verizon.
Yeah,
I would have been like, oh yeah, that's what that was.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, there you go.
Amazing. I think that's just the thing is, it's really hard to make a sequel to Jurassic Park, and I don't think we've seen the best one yet. And I think the way that they do it is to do spin-offs. And to do, I think, you know, kind of like we've seen with like 28 Days Later and like Bone Temple and so on. It's like, is there any way that we get to a situation, where we get spin-off Jurassic Park movies being made by, you know, interesting directors like Jordan Peele? Yeah. Like, can he go off and make a spin-off Jurassic Park movie and we just get that? Yeah. Does it always have to be tied or the start of a franchise or something like that?
It's so true. It's so true because it's so much thinking about the big picture and the franchise and everything else. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Well, let me finish by looping it back to Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
You mentioned your favourite films of all time at the beginning. Where does this rank, Gav? If somebody put a gun to your head and say, tell me your favourite film of all time, what would you say? Would it be Jurassic Park?
No.
Interesting.
It would be either Jaws or Phantom Thread.
So you now think you now are Team Jaws over Jurassic Park?
Yeah, I've always been, like, since I became an adult, I would always put Jaws above Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Just because, and especially as I get older as well, just because I basically want to be Quint.
Oh my God.
That's as I sail into my latter years. I'm 40 now.
We all want to be Quint, I think. Yeah.
I think maybe Robert Shaw was like 49 or something as he was making Jaws. Mental. Or like in his 40s and 50s. I want to be Quint. So I think like I just think Jaws, there's something about Jaws that is like cute and lovely and it has like a sort of wink and a silliness to it, but also is a lot smaller. And I think, like, you know, I don't identify with archaeologists, I don't identify with billionaires, and I don't identify with chaosticians or whatever, but I do identify with people who like to have beer and sit by the sea. So I think Jaws is either Jaws or Phantom Thread, because I do think Jaws, I think, is just an amazing movie, whereas like Phantom Thread I just love. And again, could be in man-made horror, but the horror is the life he's created for everybody around him. But I just think, like, when you watch a film and you just go, how on earth did someone come up with that?
Yeah.
And I think with Phantom Thread, you're just like, how did you get to there?
Oh my God,
from, you know, there? And like,
you'll never eat mushrooms again. I love it.
Exactly.
It's
and
so
that's
good.
why I love Phantom Thread, I think, because it's just a story that I didn't need, I didn't expect, but my life has been completely changed by.
I love that.
And I think that's why I think those two movies like sit with me.
I love that. Unbelievable. Amazing. Gav, thank you so much. This has been such an absolute pleasure. I feel like we could I feel like we could have sat for another 2.5 hours, right? But it's been such a pleasure. And I'm sure everyone out there listening knows like where they can find more of you, but just tell us what you've got going on at the moment, what people can look out for.
Yeah, so I run with two of my best friends a YouTube channel called RKG, and when this goes out, I think we're in the middle of playing the Indiana Jones game.
Amazing.
So our big thing is we put out one video a week, and that video is always going to be amazing. So even if you're not into video games, I think you'll like it. But we also make podcasts as well. And in the past, I've made a podcast with one of my best friends, Daniel, and we've done the definitive companions of Halloween.
Yes, you have.
Where we really sort of drill down into Halloween, and we did that a lot. We also did Jonathan Creek, which is I think how you and I started chatting.
That is good. Yeah, I was like, who is this guy that loves Jonathan Creek as much as me? Unbelievable.
But we've also, I think for anybody listening to this, I think the thing that you will love is we made a sort of short sort of documentary a few years ago, which was we went and spent Friday the 13th at Camp Crystal Lake.
Unbelievable.
And watched Friday the 13th at Camp Crystal Lake. But we spent Friday the 13th at the place where they filmed Friday the 13th. And in the lead up to it, we made a podcast called How to Survive Friday the 13th. So if you like any of the movies, if you're thinking about doing a rewatch of those, you should do that.
Well, we've literally got 2 Friday the 13th coming up, as in February and March are both Friday the 13th.
Oh yeah, they are. Yeah. So that's amazing.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we made a video where we basically traveled to New York and New Jersey to go spend the night at Camp Crystal Lake. And I got to sleep in the cabin where it all kicks off.
Unbelievable.
Which is bonkers.
Amazing.
I still kind of don't really... I woke up
Can't believe that
like
happened.
3 a.m. I couldn't sleep, and I walked around Camp Crystal Lake by myself as the sun was coming up. And it was just like one of those moments where I'm just like, I actually can't believe this has happened, to the point where you almost go into like a weird traumatic shock.
Yes.
Where you're just like, am I experiencing this? It was, I mean, I love those movies, and hopefully that comes across in the video.
That's amazing. Gav, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, man. I'm so sorry. This is going to take ages to edit.
Loved it. And that's it for this week. Thank you all so much for listening. And one more time, a massive thank you to my brilliant guest, Gav Murphy. What an absolute treat to have Gav back on the podcast. So, I loved discussing that movie with Gav. Tell me what you think of Jurassic Park. Is it one of the best ever man-made monsters movies, or is it a bit overrated in your opinion? You can get in touch with me. You can email me, evolutionofhorror@gmail.com. You can also find Evolution of Horror on Instagram and Facebook. You can find me, Mike Muncer, on Blue Sky and Instagram. If you want to discuss this week's episode with fellow listeners, you can join the Evolution of Horror Discord or the Evolution of Horror discussion group on Facebook. If you want to get ad-free versions of this podcast, and you also want to listen to additional franchise retrospectives like our Jurassic Park one, sign up to our Patreon, patreon.com/evolution of horror. This podcast is part of the EOH network. You can also listen to our other 2 sister podcasts happening right now, also weekly. We've got Hammer Time with Becky Dark and Kevin Lyons, and we've got Carry On Up the podcast with me and Susan Kalman. Both of those podcasts are available wherever you get your podcasts. So, on to next week then, and another shift, another handbrake turn tonally into something very, very different. Next week, we're going to be talking more about technology, specifically cars, and 2 movies that kind of explore the relationship between human flesh and automobile technology. Next week, I'm going to be joined by Juliet Sugg, and we have got a sexy, kinky, disturbing little double feature for you. We are going to be talking about David Cronenberg's Crash from 1996 and Julia Ducournau's Titan from 2021. Cannot wait. Join us next week for all of this and more on the Evolution of Horror.